Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome to another episode of Soundout's Toy Chest. This week we have something different, and your clue was The Last Laugh's Reckoning on Leather Wings, which is pretty cryptic in amongst itself, but if anyone figured it out, congratulations. I thought it was one of my trickier clues. But that means today we are taking a look at the DC Collectibles Batman the Animated Series Wave 2. Which features ManBat, the Joker, and Robin. Now, these three figures are part of DC Collectibles' second wave of animated Batman figures, and was originally 4 figures, including Poison Ivy, but she's been delayed due to joint issues making the figure sturdier. Which brings me to my next point. The first wave of Batman the Animated Series figures looked really good, but were extremely fragile, and I don't feel comfortable reviewing them at this time because a lot of their joints are stuck. Some of them have broken on mine, but Batman, Catwoman, Two-Face, and Mr. Freeze would be great figures if they didn't have all the fragility issues and same plastics that they do. That is why that wave came out in December, and this wave was pushed from January to March, and then later April, was to improve the quality control. And I want to get this topic discussed right away. The quality of these 3 figures is so much higher than the first 4. If you had a figure break on you from the first wave, don't be hesitant to pick up anybody from the second wave onward. DC Collectibles said they were going to go back and fix the jointing issues. Use different plastics so it's not all the same hard plastic. Use softer goods so that you can actually move the figures and overall improve things. And they have greatly improved things. These are finally action figures instead of being statues with minor joints. And I am so happy about that. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's start with the Joker. He is number 5 in the series, so naturally this is where we begin. Now this Joker is the most controversial figure of the wave, as his head sculpt isn't quite there. It's very off from what it should be. His chin's too long. It's really off from the animation model there. You can see that this just doesn't look quite right. This guy really could go through getting a different head sculpt at some point. I don't know, multi-pack, vehicle pack in something. I would really like a new Joker with a different head, because I don't like the head is okay, but it could be a lot better, especially compared to like the other sculpts of the figures that are basically the animation models come to life. But other than that, the figure looks really good from the neck down. The head's really the only thing that's bumming me out a bit. But other than that, paint is sharp and clean. That's nice because none of the paint was sharp or clean on my first wave figures. Also, none of his joints are broken. That's not the case on my first wave figures either. None of them are stuck. And speaking of articulation, let's go to articulation on this guy. I will say right away, these are still DC Collectibles, so they're not the most sturdy action figures. You're not going to get like Figure Arts level quality where I could throw this thing against a wall and it wouldn't break. You might have a little bit of issue. So be careful, but you don't have to be as careful as you do with Wave 1. With Wave 1, it's hard to even justify posing them. But we have a ball joint neck that gives you quite a bit of range, which is really cool because it does give him some sinister looks there. You have shoulders, which are on a ball hinge, so you do get 360 movement, and this is soft goods now, so it is a PVC plastic that allows for shoulder movement, which is great. He's got an elbow joint, which is also a ball hinge, so it does rotate, and you got a wrist joint that does bend in and out as well as rotate and remove because he has alternate hands. So that's pretty neat. And he's got a waist joint here. He's got hip joint, and this one's a little intense because it moved past the peg. And you got forward leg movement, backward leg movement, though it does look a little weird. Knee joints, and a ankle swivel. So you can actually pose him kind of okay. I feel like a few more joints would have helped. Maybe an ab crunch joint, maybe a pivot ankle, because otherwise he looks really awkward. So you're going to need to get him to stand. And the thing is, he is able to stand on his own, like on a desk, but this foam board of mine isn't too sturdy, so I want to put him on a stand, which is this thing. Now these stands confuse me, because there's 2 styles. There's one for guys with capes and one guys without. This is a without cape stand, so it's got this huge extender here, so you can slide this forward and back, and it does adjust up and down for different height of figures. It's a good mass production stand. And then you can see here you got the Joker, and you get his animation model turnaround, just so it constantly reminds you that the head doesn't look right. But other than that, it's a nice base. It doesn't really hold the figures as much as give them stability. Due to the art style of Batman the Animated Series, they will always have kind of a balance issue. It looks really good in motion, but as a figure, it's going to need some balance support, and that's what we got here. Now, like I said, this guy comes with alternate hands, and he comes with 4 extra hands. He's got slight holding hands for each hand, and he's got bigger holding hands for each hand. But he does have accessories, so let's give him some hands so he can hold these accessories as I show them off. So just plug this one here, remove this, give him this hand, like that. Alright, so, accessory-wise, he's got accessories from the last laugh, which include a necklace that he can hold with pearls, ironically. You can give him this small knife in this hand, or you could give him his tiny comb that he had. It is clear blue plastic, and I just dropped it. It's really tiny, so keep that around in a hand would probably be best. And then lastly, you have his dorky bull helmet to prevent him from breathing in the toxic gas he had going around. So the knife's pretty neat as a weapon. So yeah, the bull's a neat thing. I kind of like it. The seam in the middle is a little erroneous, but nah, I kind of get over it. It also does come with a telescope. It's impossible for him to hold it up to his head, though, so that's a shame. But overall, Joker is okay. He's not the best figure in the line by far. In fact, if you're going strictly off design, I still think the Mr. Freeze is the best design. Just got a lot of fragility issues. But so far, this is an okay figure. I really want a new head sculpt for this guy, and maybe if they are doing a version 2, give him some thigh swivels and some extra ankle joints. That'd be really cool. But it only gets better from here, because next is Robin. So here is Robin. Now Robin is the Dick Grayson version from Batman the Animated Series, as opposed to the Tim Drake version to match the Batman we already have. But they are making Animated Series Batman for this guy to go with. So that's nice. Now he is based directly off Robin's Reckoning, which was probably his best moments in the original series. And, again, stand. On the stand, here's guy's animation model. And you can see that the stand does not have the thing sticking out the back, so it can fit behind his cape. This is probably my favorite figure of the wave in terms of figure accessibility and posability. This is a great figure. He looks just like Dick Grayson did. The hair is the crazy hairstyle he had. He's got the cocky smile. He's got the cape that drapes over one shoulder and is folded back on the other. I always kind of like that. It's a little bit of a rebellious thing he had. The R symbol is crisply painted. All the paint is super sharp. And he looks really nice. Like, he looks proportional. I really do like the look of this guy. And he actually can stand pretty well without the stand, which is great. And he is quite articulated. So first of all, we have a nice ball joint neck, which has all kinds of movement here, which looks really good. You got the shoulder joints, which aren't too distracting, as they do kind of fit with the molding. Elbows with a rotation. A glove rotation. A rotating fist, and a pivot that is a little stuck on here, and I think that's just because of the paint. You got a waist joint here. You got legs that move out, legs that move forward, legs that move back, knees, and boot. And he's got a nice pivot as well as a forward and back, and so he's got all kinds of foot articulation just like Batman does. This guy is ready to brawl, but his cape does kind of restrict his shoulder joint there. If only he came with a better action cape. Well, good thing he does. Now, in order to do this on Batman, it was scary, as popping the head off the ball joint was not easy for Batman, and I almost broke the figure doing it. This guy, no problem at all. Just remove his head and take his cape off, and if you'd like, you can have him without the cape. That's kind of cool. And you can bring in his replacement cape, which is an action cape. It's got both shoulders uncovered, and he's good to go. So that's really awesome how easy that swaps out compared to the Batman, which had a lot of tricky maneuvering and actually had me to detach the ball joint and carve out parts of it so it'd swap easier. But moving on to his accessories. First of all, you get this thing. I forgot what this thing does, but it's a bola thing. And the other thing you get is his grappling gun, which is pretty neat. And you get one molded into a hand, which is handy. As well as his other hands that are handy. That was an awful pun, I apologize to everyone in the audience. You get the holding hands for the bola thing, and you get the open hands. I've noticed the green plastic is like flaking off the hand pegs, which is a little weird. I'm not really sure what's up there. But you got relaxed hands, punches, so you got a nice range of things. Let's give him his grappling gun, because that's the most dynamic piece that I've found that I like to use for him. Especially since you can get a cool looking pose going. That does not have a firing, or does not have a fired grapple line, but neither did Batman, and neither does the upcoming Batman, or Batgirl, or Nightwing, as far as I know. But that is quite awesome. He's animation model accurate, and he can pull off a pose like that that looks natural. That's what I want this line to do, and it's finally happened with Robin. Now, if only we could get a Batman that matches his animation style. That would be great. I only have to wait till July, unless things get delayed. And with delays on these figures, I don't mind, because that means they're improving something. Overall, Robin is great. I can definitely recommend him to people that want a set of Batman and Robin from the animated series. Get this Robin and get the upcoming Batman. You're set. But we have one more figure of the wave, ManBat. So here is ManBat, our final figure of the wave, and the most impressive. This guy is the same price as Robin, but yet, look how much taller he is than Robin. And he comes with accessories, which is fantastic. This is a great figure for price-wise. He's just awesome. I'm glad that DC Collectibles was able to put him in the price point. Because we are getting a Roxy Rocket figure later in the year that has a light-up rocket. And I'm like, alright, that's a $40 set. And yet ManBat is the same price as everybody else at $25. So it's really, really cool. I'm glad they were able to pull it off. Now, he does lose a couple of things. He doesn't have as many joints as I think he could have. And he only includes 5 accessories and no alternate hands. But 5 accessories on a figure this big at $25. This guy is impressive for his price alone. First of all, his stand, standard stand. You can see his animation model there, where he's super hunched over, which is really neat. Now, he actually stands pretty well without the stand, but it's a good idea to have it. We'll just leave it to the side for now, because let's look at his head sculpt, because head sculpt's where these things are at. The body designs are so basic that the head sculpt isn't good. The figure kind of always feels like lacking something. So, as you can see, his head sculpt is fantastic. It's perfect. I really have no complaints with this head sculpt. It looks like ManBat. He's got one eye kind of cocked up. It's really cool. I like that he's got a little bit of personality to him. It is really, really neat. As well as the rest of the figure, he's got a super long torso. You can't have him standing like this. You can, like the animation model picture, you can get him to hunch over quite a bit, which is really nice. But the one complaint I have with the figure is his neck joint is super restrictive. Another complaint is that he's throwing off my white balance entirely. But as you can see, his neck only goes up so far, and that's kind of a shame. I wish it could go up higher, but you can get him into a crouching pose with his wings and all that. But his neck's not going to go too much higher, which I think is a slight problem, because you also can't do flying poses. But that's okay. As you can see, ab joint works really well. Bends forward and back. He's got an upper ball joint here. He's got the ball in his shoulders, but that's it for arm articulation. He's got legs that bend out, forward and back, knees, and a ankle up here, which is really nice. So like I said, he's not as articulated as the other figures, but he makes up for it in his size. And he definitely needs to stand for a lot of poses because of his leg design, being a ManBat. Now, like I said, he does come with accessories. Let's get the ones he can't actually hold out of the way. First of all, he has the tape recorder that had the evidence that Kirk Langstrom was ManBat. Now, this is accessories, I think, for Batman, because ManBat obviously can't hold these. But it's a neat little crime evidence thing. As well as 3 of the serum bottles. You actually do get 3 of them, which is pretty neat. So you can use these probably with the upcoming animated series Batman, which is a neat little bonus. But the main accessory he has, and the reason why his box is so large, is that you can remove both of his arms, which, by the way, does not feel scary at all. I was so worried about that when I found out he was going to have alternate arms. I was like, oh, is it going to be like Batman's head and be terrifying? No, it's perfectly good because they actually fixed the figures. And now you get cool splayed out wings, which makes him even bigger and more imposing. And these have a great range in arm movement, so you can have them up or down, which is really, really nice. I do like these wings. Now, like I said, it's hard to get him in a flying pose, because first of all, he's too heavy to get on any flight stand I own, and second of all, his head doesn't go up, but you can have him in this kind of ready to lift off pose, or as I like it, the gotcha pose, where he's got his arms just waving in the air. He looks really nice with these gigantic wings. My only real complaint is I don't have the shelf space to display them like this all the time. But it just looks great. I'm really glad they didn't try to joint them so that you'd have the folded up wings and the open wings in the same joints. Kind of like the Mattel ManBat. And as good as that was, the wings never really connected properly. They look fantastic here. And I'm really glad they're alternate parts. And I'm glad that those alternate parts don't feel like I'm going to break the toy every time I switch it out. So overall, ManBat is friggin' impressive. For being a $25 action figure, you get a huge figure with quite a few accessories. And honestly, I'd say he's the best value proposition of the 3. So overall, how is Batman the Animated Series Wave 2? This is fantastic. I was hesitant to pick up the line after hearing the breakage issues. I bought Batman, had joints break, and I was like, I don't know if I want to continue this line. And after Toy Fair, I saw the character reveals. I was like, oh, it's going to be a great line of statues. And then I heard about how they were going to fix the quality control problems. And I was like, all right, I will believe it when I see it. But I'm going to stick to this line. I feel like it's going places. And if this is just Wave 2, I can't imagine what the end of this line will be. Honestly, I am so excited for this line after experiencing this wave of action figures I can actually pose. I feel like I can pose these figures a whole bunch without degrading their joints and them falling apart or breaking. This is a fantastic set of action figures as a set. But if it does come down to individual units, Robin is by far the best. I have had so much fun posing this figure. He's got a great facial expression. His head sculpt is perfect. The body sculpt is great. His articulation accents his accessories perfectly. He's a great figure. I really like him. Joker is a little less than the other two. His head sculpt isn't as good, and honestly, I'm a little disappointed by him. But ManBat is just awesome. He's not as articulated. He can't pull off certain poses, which makes him a little less than Robin, but he's just really cool to have as a big ManBat figure in this line. So, thank you, DC Collectibles. I'm so impressed with your quality control being upped. I would love to see re-releases of Wave 1 in this quality. I would buy them again. I literally would buy a whole set of figures again if they're re-released with this quality, because I really want to experience those figures the same way I'm experiencing these, which is as action figures and not as art toys that have slight movement. So overall, Wave 2 is fantastic. I am so looking forward to the rest of this line, and I'm really happy that Batman the Animated Series is finally getting a toy line that is now to the quality of the show. I always felt like the figures of the past aren't as good, and even Wave 1 wasn't as good. You can see the caps on the hip joints. They fixed that. They fixed the quality control. Thank you, DC Collectibles, for fixing everything, because now this line will be really, really great overall. And I will keep buying it. So stay tuned. Whenever Wave 3 hits, I will definitely pick up those figures as well. If I go back and review Wave 1, it's going to be very limited, as I can't pose most of the figures in ways that I really want to. Anyways, stay tuned. I am so happy with this line, and I hope it expands to Batman Beyond, Superman the Animated Series, and Justice League. I would love all of those figures. So, stay tuned for more from the 6-inch Batman the Animated Series line. Stay tuned for more from Soundout 12. And be sure to check out HeroTalker.com for all your Batman news and more. Tonks and Sound saying goodbye.